Hey everybody, it's Ron and Debbie, and we're back from Alaska for another edition of Ask Ron.
Yes, we are. Just before we started this, we were talking fish and telling whoppers and comparing loads of fish we brought home. Debbie, however, stayed another day, and how many fish? 295 pounds of fish fillet.
We brought home 195.
195.
195.
Have you ever seen 195 pounds of fish fillets? It is an entire freezer full of fish. So she will have fish between now and 2024, I think. All right, what's on their minds today?
All right, Ron, here we go. First question is from Daniel Debbie from Minnesota.
Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Papa Ron. I've currently enrolled in Quick Start Real Estate School in Chicago for August.
See you then.
My question is, should I start contacting FSBOs before the training?
Absolutely. Step one, listen to the 14 CDs in the terms course. Watch some DVDs if you want to. Remember, 2 of those is me on the telephone negotiating deals with sellers. They're pretty good. And then there's 2 of them where I'm screening deals up on the stage. Those you ought to watch on a video. The rest of them are absolute pure step-by-step training that I think you ought to do before you arrive. Now, the key is bring leads. Start getting leads right now. Start working leads right now. Start calling. You should have our VA. If you're going to generate leads, get a VA. Contact our office. Get a VA, because they call the property information sheets, or call and fill out the property information sheets for you, and that's a grueling hard work right there that you probably don't want to do. And then when you get them back and they have a yes on them for terms, I want you to call them. I want you to take the scripts right out of my course, the terms course. Read the scripts pertaining to the type of lead it is, whether it be a subject to deal, in other words, I'll sell for what I owe, or a possible lease option, or a possible owner financing. And read the scripts and see what happens. Just play the game. By the time you get to Chicago, you'll know what your weaknesses are, and we can work on them, but bring plenty of leads, because we will work the leads for you in class, and we will generate some deals. You bring some yes leads with the property information sheets filled out, we'll generate some deals for you. And then you can go back home and follow up on those and get the biggest bang for the buck. You know, there just isn't a training out there like ours where you could actually bring leads and go home and turn them into cash. Way more than your boot camp cost, I can tell you that right now. We generate hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of deals in every single one of these classes we do. So I want you to come prepared and come ready to spend 4 days of pure training. Leave all the baggage you got at home and give us 4 days of your life, and I'll bet you things will start changing quickly when you get out of there.
Okay, next is from Clint Weir from Texas.
Hey, Clint.
For potential sellers that don't want to leave the mortgage in their name and transfer the deed to the property when trying to get owner financing, would it be possible to do an agreement for deed with them instead?
It doesn't matter, Clint. They're still going to leave the mortgage in their name. Regardless of whether you buy on a contract for deed, or in your case in Texas, it's a contract for deed, not an agreement for deed, or whether you buy on an AITD, all-inclusive trust deed, which is what most people do in Texas, the loan is still going to stay in their name. So if the only way they can sell is to get that loan paid off, there really isn't anything you can do for them, sir. I know as much as you like to, and yes, it's going to cost you some deals, because some people will tell you they can't sell till they get the loan out of their name. So leave the door open, let them keep trying to sell their house, and then make sure they know that they can come back to you if it doesn't work out the way they plan. And also, you ought to have a system to follow up with them, because some of the best deals you're ever going to do are the ones who said no in the beginning, but then later figured out that, you know, their house is not going to sell as fast as they thought. So I call them tenderized. They've been tenderized for you. Just like when they've been listed a time or two, they've been tenderized. So by the time you get to them, their attitude is totally different. They may sell it, they may not. Leave the door open, move on to the next prospect.
All right, next from Aaron Anderson from Michigan.
Hey, Aaron.
When I first trained with you, Ron, at Quick Start, I remember you saying specifically when looking for comps not to use Zestimate on Zillow.
Correct.
Although that you did say we could use
Aaron,
Zillow.
let me cut this short. Today, the site that I send people to beats the crap out of Zillow. It's called realestateabc.com. realestateabc.com. No Zestimates here, but if you go to that site, it's free. put in your address, scroll down a little bit, and there's a whole list of comps for your house. Cannot be better, easier than Real Estate ABC, which one of my students turned me on to in class. And I tell you, I use it every single day. I use that site. There's nothing easier.
Okay. All right, next, Joe Gilmack from Indiana.
Joe?
I was curious if we are able to create an owner finance note back to the seller after we have already closed the property, taking it over subject to in the past.
Well, you can, Joe, but it's going to be funky. It's going to be weird because the deed's already been recorded. And, I mean, it doesn't benefit you in any way. I know why you're trying to do it, trying to give the seller something to show that they're getting an incoming payment. And I guess there's nothing stopping you from doing that, but, I don't know whether it's even going to accomplish anything or not. It does put you in a position now to where you got to get a satisfaction from that seller when you do pay off that mortgage, whereas if they just deeded it to you, you don't have to get anything from the seller ever again. So I'd be cautious about doing that. Nothing stopping you from doing it.
Okay. All right, next is Matthew Peterson from Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Hey, Matthew.
Is there any clause in your contract when lease optioning with the seller if the tenant buyer that we put in place defaults and misses monthly payments? How are we protected so we won't have to come out of our pockets to make the monthly
You will.
payment?
If you lease option a property from a seller and then you sublease it to a buyer, you will have to come out of pocket and make that payment, or you will be in default. That's the name of the game. If you're going to stay in the middle, that's a risk you're going to have to accept. However, remember, you got thousands of dollars from your tenant buyer, or they shouldn't even be in your house to begin with. Smart thing to do is take some of that money and set it aside for Murphy, because Murphy likes to go everywhere we go. Have a reserve account, smart thing to do. If you lose a tenant buyer, they leave behind their big deposit, you go get another one, and you probably will be able to get another one before that payment is due anyway the next time. But even if you don't, make the payment. It's the cost of doing business, and very minimal cost compared to how little your overhead is in real estate. So just set some money aside and don't spend it all, that's all.
All right. Next, from Gabriel Contreras from California.
Gabriel?
As new FSBO leads come in via the FSBO lead service and we've sorted through them, what are the qualification criteria we should be using? More specifically, would you suggest or should we have our VA call the leads that we have verified that their asking price is full or close to full retail?
Yes. I don't care what their asking price is because we can pay retail price. In fact, I quite often do when they give us great terms. I first want to look on that and make sure that the property's in my area, because some of them somehow come through and they're not in the area. And second, I want to make sure it's a house, because sometimes you get mobile homes and vacant lots and so forth. So in the description down at the bottom of that little block, it tells you whether it's a house or not. And honestly, that's all I need to know. So if it's a house and it's in my area, it's going to the VA, and the VA calls them, then you'll get enough information from the VA to determine whether you want to do anything with them or not. Totally ignore the price. First of all, the asking price doesn't necessarily mean the buying price, but it's irrelevant because, again, you can pay retail price and still make a bunch of money. You give somebody $200,000 for a $200,000 house, but they sell it to you with nothing down at $1,000 a month, you just created a humongous golden goose. Because you put that thing back on the market for probably $210,000, $220,000, collect $10,000, $20,000 on the front end, and $1,000 a month or whatever, positive cash flow. Just because they're at retail price, especially in this market we're in right now, don't turn your back on them. Those are opportunities that many investors won't touch that should be an entire niche for you. We can pay retail price and still make a lot of money because we raise the price because we're offering terms. All houses, all anything, personal or real property is worth more when you're selling it on terms than it is when you're selling it for cash. And that's the niche we're in.
All right, Ron, that's it.
That's all?
That's it for today.
That's all we got?
That's all.
Okay, guys, go out there and get some deals going. And by the way, we got a convention coming up in January now. If you haven't heard about that, set aside. What's those dates?
The 18th through the 21st.
18 through the 21st. Do not schedule anything 18 through 21 in January. Absolutely not, because we're all going to be out on the ocean in Daytona Beach, skinny dip. Oh, we're not going to go skinny dip. or something similar. Okay. And just for the record, weather's always gorgeous in January in Florida. It's in the contract anyway with the hotel.
Yep.
And also, we got a alumni event coming up next month for all you Quick Start graduates. Make sure you get registered. It's going to be here in Jacksonville. It's an incredible 2 days that we're going to spend together. And if for no other reason that you come to this thing, I'm taking you to Iggy's for dinner. So get your butt registered.
It's well worth it.
Well worth it, yeah. So we got a lot of things coming up. We got a lot of things on the horizon. Stay tuned. Go get some deals. Let us know. Send us your testimonial letters and keep us in the loop. And send your questions in. And one more thing. Here's what I'd like a favor from you. Debbie and Nikki are trying to talk me into doing a seller financing boot camp again. And I'm trying to decide whether I want to or not. If you would like me to do a 3-day event to teach you how to buy houses with owner financing and show you some cool stuff that I learned back in the 80s that nobody alive still knows, then let us know, and they might convince me to schedule that sometime in the next few months. So I'm undecided. I'm going to let you decide. So if you want a seller financing boot camp, I don't know what it's going to cost yet. First tell me if you're interested, and then we'll decide at what price we can offer it to you for. Fair enough? See you next week.